Welcome, everybody. What another wonderful Monday night at Chewin the BBQ Fat. I tell you what, we have got a show lined up for you. I tell you what a huge weekend in barbecue we had. The Jack Daniels happened this weekend, and what an incredible way to have the reserve and the grand, who they are, in the points chase. What's up, Etowah Smoke? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Y'all like the page, share the page. We've got two legends in barbecue on tonight, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be fun. And man, I'm excited to talk about the rivalry going on between these two guys. But man, first of all, we had a great weekend. We were able to cook this weekend. We went down to Lyons, Georgia, had a great time. Heard her name called once or twice. It was awesome. And then just a good time. Good evening to everybody. Hope y'all are all doing well. Thank you for coming on. Like the page, share the page. Let's get it out there. But what we've got, I've got number one and number two on tonight, guys. Can't ask for anybody better. It's gonna be a heck of a show. Get your questions ready, and we'll go to town with it tonight. But let's just get rolling. Who cares about me? Let's hear what these two guys got to say, because they are the stars of the show. What's up? What's up, Beefy and Joe?
What's going on? What's up, everybody?
Oh man, thank you guys so much for coming on. I know y'all traveling all over the place. Another weekend of y'all moving, going back and forth everywhere. But golly, so much going on with the two of y'all competing against each other and the rivalry going on. And then you go out to the Jack, one of the biggest contests, and finish 1 and 2. So, Brad, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk a little bit about it and tell everybody what you've been doing since you've been on the show last, and then we'll get to Joe.
I've been cooking pretty much. That's it. Either driving around looking for meat or cooking meat. One of the two. That's pretty much my time. Try to maybe sneak in and spend an hour or two with my kids here and there when I get a chance and wife. But man, it's been busy. We've been running hard, and Joe and I both been cooking really well. So it's been a lot of fun. And we've got 3 more weeks left of this thing. So I think we're gonna have to finish her out strong.
Man, 3 more weeks. Joe, what do you think? I know you've been. Y'all been hitting it hard for the past 14 months, 14 months, right? That's what you were saying, Brad. But what's been going on, man? It's just crazy.
Yeah, no, we've this year and last year's got it rolled in together. And Brad obviously started cooking way earlier than I did this year. I know he was cooking in February and early March, and I didn't really start cooking until the end of March, beginning of April. So it's a long season when you start cooking. Every weekend in April 1st all the way through the end of October. And, last week didn't really feel like cooking down at the Jack. It was kind of a vacation / just awesome opportunity. It was my first Jack experience. And so I did all the touristy things and hit Miss Mary Bobo's and went to the distillery and bought the barrelhead and got people to sign them. So it was a lot of fun to get that under my belt, and the result was pretty cool at it. But yeah, Brad and I have been just going back and forth all year, and he's cooking really well. I'm cooking pretty good, and we'll see what happens the last 3 weeks. He thinks it's mathematically possible for me to catch him, which it is, but to say you got to win 3 of your last 4, especially at a contest that he's cooking at, is definitely tough. There's no guarantees in that.
Man, that was what I was going to get. I was going to try and save the points chase and the rivalry for later on in the show.
We talk about it later.
Yeah, I haven't been fortunate enough to make it to the Jack. Joe, it was your first time. Brad, how many times have you made it to the Jack?
I think this is my 4th. I was trying to figure that out. It's either 4th or 5th, but I'm pretty sure it's 4th.
And how special is it? Joe, you're killing it on the barbecue trail, right? Both of you are. But how special was it for you to make it to the Jack that first year?
Man, me or Joe?
Well, Joe, I'll come back to you in a second. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's this year was, it's hard not to get emotional about it. I mean, I've been working at trying to get to the Jack for the last 8 years, and there's been a few years there where I've had 6 wins and trying to get the last one the last weekend in August or July, and it just never came up. And then I would have 6 or 7 bungs in Missouri and Kansas, you know what I mean, which are the 2 worst possible states to get bungs in. Probably Missouri, Kansas, and Texas, probably the 2 hardest, Nate, where to get drawn from. And so I'm glad that the first year I got to go to the Jack was when I autoed and got the 7 wins, and it was a dream come true to get down there. And I panicked the day of the draw. I went back and tried to find my emails for all the submissions you have to do when you get a GC with them, and I could only find like 5 of them. And so I'm emailing Pam Hess like, "Oh my God, what did I do? Did I screw it up? Do you have me in? Am I good?" And she said, "Hey, listen, you got 7, you're in. Don't worry about it. Take a deep breath, relax today. Everybody else can sweat it, but you and Brad are good." So it was a lot of fun to have that, and then when you got down there, the Jack kind of helped through everything you ever heard it to be. It was really wet and muddy, and the only difference is it never got cold. It was pretty warm and muggy all weekend. And I think Brad told me at one time, he was like, "This is not a normal Jack, Joe. It's hot and sweaty, and it's usually pretty cold." And so, but to get down in the holler and experience Lynchburg in October, I said it in my post. The giddiness I had driving to Lynchburg in October was pretty cool, and I had my family with me, and my wife, my daughter, my brother, my sister-in-law. So it was a lot of fun to be down there and be next to Brad and Tim and Luke and Lucky's and Tuffy and all these great barbecue cooks that it's a who's down there. You got to win something to be there and get invited. So it was definitely an awesome experience for me.
Awesome, Brad. I would say, this is me. I would say you have been running longer and you have been the best for as long as anybody I know, right? Like, you have been on top of the barbecue game for a long time, and you've been killing it.
I think you just called me stupid.
No, not at all. I mean, it's very impressive what you've been able to accomplish, because in my time of watching barbecue, you see a couple guys run for it and they fall away, and they go hard, they fall away, or they can't keep up. They can't keep up with it. And like I say, this is my experience. I'm sure there's people that have been, I don't know, but you have really been on top of the game for a long time in barbecue, or at least in the middle of it, right? Like in the mix for everything.
I appreciate that.
Can you go back, talk about Joe's experience at the first Jack? Can you tell me your first experience, what it was like going to your first Jack, and then what it's like going back now some odd years later?
Similar to what Joe, where we cook, we both cook in the same area, and the only way really practically to get in is to win 7. So, I 2 years in a row, I won 6 and sitting around on the day of the draw and didn't get drawn. And at that point, I kind of committed. I said, "Hey, if we're going to get in the Jack, you gotta win 7." So, I've autoed my way in every time I've been there, the other 4. So, I'm pretty proud of that. And the first time you're there, it's just something that everybody is working towards getting in the Jack. It's just one of the things that when you start out the season, what are you trying to do? You qualify for the Royal, which is a little lower, bar. You just need to get 1 win, and then you're trying to make these invitationals, and make these big events, and that's why we're cooking every week. Win championships, win point chases, do stuff like that, very important. But we're also trying to cook at these big prestigious events, so you can't overstate, the feeling when you get in those, and it's just like Joe said, it's kind of like, man, I'm here, I've arrived. You're looking up and down and seeing all the legendary guys, Johnny Trigg coming through and sitting down and talking to everybody. You're getting pictures taken with some of these guys, Chris Lilly walking through there. I mean, just legends and people that when you're first getting into the, quote unquote, sport of barbecue that you look up to, or now you realize, hey man, I'm one of them, and it's just a really cool feeling. And we have a good time. Now it's gotten to be where I'm probably getting spoiled and taking it for granted a little bit, but you're going to get there. But at some point I'm not going to make it, I'm going to stop and I'm not going to make it back. And I'm going to look back on these years that I've been to the Jack and I've got a ton of great memories from it.
Yeah. I mean, and then winning it this year, right? Like, I mean, have you won it before, or is this your first win?
No, I mean, I've won categories there before. The best I've done is 5th. That was my first year. And funny thing is, I cooked a 703, and I finally broke the 703 curse. I've got reserve grand at Sam's Nationals back in the day when they had that with the 703. Lost to Richard Parker. I got reserve. I mean, I got fifth place at the Jack Daniels, which is a high scoring with a 703, and then I got reserve ran at the American Royal with a 703. So you tell me I'm going to get a 703 at a major event, I probably think good. I'm going to be mad driving home. So it was kind of fitting that my score this weekend was also a 703. That number's kind of dogged me, at the majors. So it's kind of fitting that that's what got it done this weekend. And yeah, man, I mean, it's hard to, people, you can't overstate what it means and the reaction that people have. But I mean, I honestly, and the way I always cook is and to keep it level and to keep myself sane, in a activity that really, if you win 25, 30, 35% of your contests, man, you're one of the greats. It's kind of like baseball. I mean, you fail most weeks. So I try not to put too much stock into anything, and maybe it hasn't quite sunk in yet, because it's just like, I just go out and execute. And whatever the judges say, that's what they say. And so, I'm not a better cook today than I was last week, but it is definitely a big win and something that I'm glad that, I've got that and I can put it on my trophy case.
That's awesome. So where would you put the Jack? Like, is there a hierarchy in competition barbecue that you have, or is there something that you look at like, I really want to go to this one, or what is it? Is there anything like that for y'all?
I mean, for me, real quick, I think the Jack, just because you don't know, like, you can always cook the Royal, or getting in the invite of the Royal. You can always cook. You can cook the Royal Open for the next 50 years if you want to.
Right.
The invite, getting into the Royal invite's not as difficult. It's still an accomplishment. You still got to win a contest. The Jack, you don't know. There's guys like Darren Worth wasn't there this year. He's the best of all time. There's a point where you can't go there. You've got a limited window to win the Jack. And so to me, that's when you're cooking well, you've got to take care of those opportunities. So, not just because I just won it, which, of course it's the Jack, it's the biggest one, everything. But I was going to say it, so I'm glad you brought it up. But it's a limited window. They're all prestigious. They're all great wins. But just the fact that you don't know how many times you're going to be there for the Jack makes it, I think, extra special for that reason.
Yeah, I think that's why I took. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I took it so serious. I mean, I started making calls, 3 months ago when I knew I autoed, and I started talking to. I asked Brad a lot of questions just because he had been down there a lot, and him and I end up talking almost every day nowadays. And I was reaching out to some judges, some celebrity judges like Megan Day and Johnny, and I talked to Tuffy, and I was just asking questions about. What are the expectations down there? I just, or should I box normal? The big thing I was concerned about is I run chopped kale in all my boxes. And I was like, are these judges going to hate seeing chopped kale in there? I know they shouldn't take into account, but I'm a little messy when I box. And so there's always a few pieces of kale on the bottom of my chicken. Is that going to piss them off? Do I need to run parsley? And so it was these questions. And I took it about as serious as you could take one single barbecue contest in the middle of cooking, 35 or 36 this year. And but I was saving meat for the last, 2 months. I had brisket set aside, I had pork butt set aside, I had ribs set aside. Chicken was the only thing I knew I could go get the week of. It'd be okay. And but then, I was cooking wings for the white meat section, and I had to use wings that I was going to practice with the week before, and then I ended up not practicing with it. So the use by date was like the 5th, and the contest was like the 7th or the 8th. And so I wouldn't want to wait too much longer on those, but it ended up working out for me winning chicken. But yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those contests that, like Brad said, you just don't know if you're going to get to. And when you have the opportunity, man, you better make it worth your while. Put the absolute best food you can in the box. Stay focused. I hardly cook with anybody anymore. It's usually by myself. But having my brother down there, having my wife down there, and Mike really kept me focused during the day. And he was able to watch the pits while I was working on the timeline. Everything's 30 minutes later. Brad and I probably didn't razz each other as much as we normally do because we were both pretty focused through the weekend. But no, it was. It's one of those contests that you just, you hope you get to. And when you're there, you take it as serious as you can. You put the best food in the box that you can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brad has come on the show quite a few times, and I do appreciate it. And Joe, thank you for coming on. And I've heard Brad talk a lot about the rivalries in barbecue, and y'all have as big of a rivalry in barbecue as can be, right? And the interesting thing to me to hear is y'all talk every day. right? Like you're still. That's what's cool. I don't know if y'all are talking, if you're like egging each other on, or what's going on, but
all the above. All the above.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
a little bit.
But I mean, it doesn't, it's not like we're out there boxing or something like that, right? I mean, Joe and I are friends and business colleagues. We both have restaurants. We're both working through some difficulties with coming through COVID and labor shortages, and so it's not just competition.
It's bigger than competition.
About. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Sure.
and of course, it's just we get out there on Saturday. We love nothing more than beating Joe because Joe's the best. So beat Joe is a big deal. So it's not like we're obviously that competitive edges there against each other, but we don't if I'm not there, I want Joe to win, outside of the point chase, everything else. I mean, he's a heck of a guy. Anybody knows Joe. Joe knows, he's got a heart of gold, and he's, and that doesn't change the fact that we're competitive and that we're going out every week. There's no hard feelings, I don't think, ever in there. It's just, we're going and you're against yourself more than anything else, and the judges. And frankly, Joe and I think, it can't be overstated enough that Joe and I finished 1-2. And I think a lot of that is because, for the past, year plus, he and I have been cooking against each other in very pressure-packed situations. And it doesn't seem like we're in Arkansas last week at a 30-team contest. But for Joe and I, it's about as pressure-packed as you can go because I know Joe's not going to miss. So you're going to these contests, and you've got to find the best meat. You've got to put everything together. You've got to put 4 good entries in the box because if you miss one, Joe's going to win. And so we're cooking really well. And I think it's because of each other. I know Joe's pushed me to up my game. And the fact is that the reason why I think we finished the way we did is because of our rivalry and the fact that we're shoving each other every week to get better.
Yeah. And, I think, when it comes down to it, I told, like, when I walked back from getting a brisket call, I was 10th in brisket at the Jack. As I walked back, I looked at Brad and I said, "Hey, go get it." You know what I mean? It's yours for the taking. Get a brisket call. And it's not impossible to lose with 3 calls, with 3 top 5s at the Jack, but it's pretty hard. And especially this year when it was down a few teams with none of the international teams there. So we had 71, 72 teams or something like that there. And so three top 5 calls is going to do it. And I wanted to see him win, you know what I mean, as a friend, and selfishly it didn't matter for points, so it was okay if he wins this one. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it was a great one to win. But we love seeing each other do well. But at the end of the day, there's no hard feelings. We're out there. Arkansas was a perfect example. Brad went out and cooked really well, and man, I did what I could. I put the best food I could in the box. I just hit a rough table, I think, in pork, and didn't finish in the top 10 in pork. And I knew my pork was good, but I was either first or second on the table. It wasn't like I was 4th or 5th on the table. So, I executed, and it just didn't score. And you can't really be too upset about that when you cook as many as Brad and I do. We're out there cooking. Brad's cooked 350 or so contests. I've cooked 250, 260. And
320, not quite. Don't get me. Don't
so
jump
sorry.
on me yet.
So sorry. But, when you cook that many contests, you just know you're going to get hit sometimes, and you got to move on and be okay with it.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't hear Joe's brisket call because I got that pork call, and I'm walking back and I'm trying to keep everybody's starting at that point going, "Oh man, I think you got one." I'm trying to keep, Tim's coming up in my face going, "Man, did you just win the Jack?" I'm like, get the hell away from me, Tim, because the last thing I want is you rubbing your reserve grand champion winning self up on me. So I'm sitting there trying to duck Tim, and I missed Joe's 10th place brisket call. So I was really nervous about Rooters and Tutors because they were sitting there and they had 2 calls and they're good 4-meat cooks. So you always look at these contests, and everybody at the Jack's a good 4-meat cook. I mean, to be clear, but the guys that are capable and generally aren't missing categories. And Rooters and Tutors is one of them. And I thought Joe just had 1 call. And but if I would have known Joe had 2 calls, then I would have been a lot more terrified when it got down to the top 2 than I was, because I was sitting there going, well, I think I probably have it. But I didn't realize that Joe also had 2 calls, because otherwise, I had 3. And so you think I'm in the catbird seat, but you don't know. And I've seen people with 3 calls at the Jack get hammered in a category and not win it. And so you're sitting there going, okay, well, there were still 3 teams out there that had good calls, and I didn't know that. I was factoring in for 2. So when Joe got that last call, I mean, that reserve grand championship, I mean, I was thrilled to death. It was kind of out of left field for me, because I wasn't expecting it. I'm super happy for him. And I'm also at the same time going, man, where's Rooters? If they pull in a couple of 11s, and I'm floating down in the 40s or 50s in chicken, then they may take it. So when he got that reserve, I was happy for Joe, but I was scared to death for myself, and that's what I was like, oh man, well maybe I didn't get it. So anyway, it's always that calculus and that little bit that you're running when that happens, and missing that 10th place call of Joe's and brisket. My math was a little off there. I got a little scared.
Well, Paul Kellner's watching tonight. I'm sure he's. I'm sure they thought they were in the middle of it too. Two big calls in the first two categories, right? I think they had chicken and rib.
Yeah, I remember what they were in, but yeah, they were going up there. So you just, like I said, you get those, you know who they are. Those people that are on the short list of winning them, and they get a couple of calls, and then you never know. Two's a lot of time enough to do it there. So
right. That's awesome. So going back to where does this? I think, Brad, you said there's 5 opportunities to cook from now until the end of the season. There's a couple doubles in there, plus a single this weekend, maybe.
Well, that 2 singles probably, I think, is how it's going to play out, and then
okay.
we'll end up on a double. So there's 4 more contests, and again, I gotta go block Joe. So Joe kind of the driver's seat of where we go. But for what I know we're going to Sugar Creek this weekend, right, Joe? Sugar Creek.
I guess we'll see on Friday.
Oh God! So here we go.
So how much of that is there going on? Is there any? I don't want to say games, but is there any gamesmanship of like, hey, where are you going to be? Oh, I'm going to be there, and then I show up.
We both think each other. Yeah, we both think each other lie constantly, and what we really both tell the truth at all time. But we got other people in our ears. Like Chris Schaefer saying, "Oh, there's no way Joe's going to Arkansas. He's got to be going to Wyoming this weekend." So Brad, up until he rolled in and saw my trailer sitting in Arkansas, he thought I was going to Wyoming. And
I had no idea, man. I got truthful. People everywhere. Yeah. I had people on the interstate. I had people on, I had people on I-90 up in South Dakota or wherever it was, going up there looking for a big black trailer roll across there. That way I know where I needed to go, And I got a little bit of an advantage because I'm a little lighter, travel a little quicker, so I can get a little later start than Joe does. The way I cook, I don't need to get there as early, so I'm just kind of sitting there waiting to make sure. But we made an agreement last year, and I think it stands when it comes down to it. And somebody's like, "Hey, man, where are you going?" We'll answer the question. But there have been a couple times where we didn't know. We legitimately did not know because we're waiting on team counts. So that's the hard part, is just getting an honest, number of teams from organizers and everything else. Because 1 or 2, I beat Joe last year by 2 points. And that's just 2 teams at a contest that Joe wins. And that's the difference. So getting an accurate team count, the difference between a 27, 26 and a 32 or whatever, it could be the season. So, a lot of times we really don't know until, Thursday or Friday what contest we're going to, because we're just waiting on an accurate team count to be able to make a decision on where we're going to go.
Yeah, today was a perfect example. I think Brad and I probably both signed up for 2 or 3 contests this weekend, and I was emailing them all this morning and texting them and saying, "Hey, where are you at with teams? I'm trying to make a decision." And a couple of them just didn't get back with me, and one of them did. Sugar Creek, and said they were at 25, 26. Brad, are you going to make Brad? I think with Brad and I, they were going to be at 27, which not ideal at the end of the year for me. I'd love to have a 35 team contest, but it is what it is, and then you start calculating numbers, and what's Brad's 2 lowest wins and what's my 2 lowest wins, what I'm dropping, and so there's a lot of scenarios that go into play there. But like I texted Brad at probably 2 or 3 in the afternoon and said, "Hey, I just signed up for Sugar Creek," so it's and I'm going to go there as long as something in like Topeka, Kansas doesn't get to 35. And then I'm sure Brad would try to get it to Topeka as well. You know what I mean? But,
it springs to a broader point. How far is Topeka from Sugar Creek, Joe?
An hour.
50 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah. What on earth are those 2 contests doing on the same weekend at the end of the year? All it's going to do is kill 2 contests. There's 50 teams that want to cook this weekend in that area, and we got them split halfway and halfway. And it just, for the life of me, if somebody can explain to me why or how that happens, I'd love to hear it, because it's just not good for barbecue to have that happen.
Well, and to be honest with you, there's Harper that weekend too, which is just a little south of Wichita. So we have 3 contests that have 20 plus teams at each one of them within 3 hours of each other. You know what I mean? And Kansas City, that's not that far. It's all highway time. So
yeah, draw from the same base group of teams. And I get it, you sanctioning you're trying to get sanctioning fees, trying to do whatever. People want to put their contests when they put them,
Well,
but
I'll say
I think it's
this.
just.
I'll say that they canceled my contest that I have because there's a contest within 123 miles from me. So they pulled me off after 2 months of being on the website, they pulled my contest off, pulled it off. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
And I'm not here to, I mean, it's a tough job. I mean, and a lot of times, Joe and I have got we've got our pulse a little bit closer on what's happening than probably somebody at the sanctioning contest in the KCBS office. So, we could probably look at something and say, hey, man, those aren't going to draw. So it's not an easy job, and it's not easy decisions on the board. And they've got to get the contests in. And I'm not trying to say it's just, there's got to be a good way to do it to figure out how we get these good events and we're not laying stuff on top of each other.
Yeah. And that's what's so interesting is like for y'all are, you'll go anywhere, right? Like you're going to go do what you got to do to go win this thing. And I'm just excited to see it finish, right? Like I'm hoping at the end of the year, I can have you both come back on and be like, man, tell me about the ending of this thing, because was it awesome or what? Because
it's gonna end just about like it is now, where Brad's at first and I'm in second. Like it's a spoiler alert. That's kind of what's happening.
I know both of you know to the number exactly what has to happen. So what has to happen for who to do what?
Joe's got to win 3. I mean,
yeah, I got to win 3. Yeah. And to be specific, I'm down 51 points. 2 35-team wins will get me 50, and then really I need anything over 11 teams at the end of the year. But that's best case scenario. You could do 3 28-teamers or whatever that is. I mean, you can do the math there and figure out how to get the 51 points, 7 ways from Sunday. But
now
51.
What happens if you win again?
It's done.
If I win again, then I mean, it just depends on the size of the contest, right? I mean, so I'm dropping. I went down to one. This is one of the ones I went down to Mississippi where I thought they had. I'm talking to. I know Wes is probably there, and we're sitting there trying to figure out, hey, how many teams are in Mississippi? And we thought there was, it was in the 20s and mid to upper 20s, and I got there and there's probably 12 or 13 trailers parked in the parking lot, and it's just one of those things. You're just like. I mean, it's not even close, and I think it ended up being 16 teams or something like that. So I really need to get that one dropped. I'm vulnerable to Joe until I get that thing dropped, and so I'll get whatever number of points over. So if it's 35, I'll get 19 points. Basically, is what it boils down to. So everything up above it, and at this point, I'm dropping grands. What's that? What's that? I know he is. I know he did. He did. And it's not his fault. This is thing, and it's a tough spot. Organizers know that they need to have a certain number, otherwise people start peeling out and dropping off. So it's just an incentive all the way around. Hey, oh yeah, we got plenty of teams, and I get it, man. Because if you don't hit that 25 mark or whatever, you're not a qualifier, and then teams are going to go find somewhere else to cook and everything else. So it's a product of the system, and we understand it, and it's just. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but that's what happens sometimes, and I get why organizers. Give you the optimistic, rosy, somebody called and was asking about it. They're in, I get why they do it. They have to. They're trying to do the best for their event. That's just the way it is.
Yep. So, Aaron Stouffer said that the category chases are heating up a lot also. So
he's just doing that because he's in brisket. You got it, Aaron. You get it. How far are you back? What do you need, Aaron? 2 wins or 1? I haven't done the math.
Yes. I'm curious to see how much of that goes on? Like, I mean, is there a lot of people out there that y'all see chasing categories right now? And is that as big of a deal, or what do you think on that?
I think so. I mean, we're down to where, I think Chris would have to win out to catch me. You know what I mean? The 3rd place guy, Chris Schaefer, and they'd all have to be max point wins. Maybe 2 of them get them there. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been looking at it, but the guys that are still in the top 10 and competing, but there's, the chicken race is tight between me and Rooters. And I mean, Brad, minus the jack, he hadn't really been missing in chicken a whole lot. And Brad and I are tight in ribs, and Rooters, in 1, 2, and me are in pork, and then Brad's leading brisket. So, a 20 team category win right now goes a long way at the end of the year. And so these contests that are at 15 to 25 teams, where you can go in, sneak a chicken win or a rib win or a pork win, and it's gonna help kind of lock up team of the year. I mean, we're just running out of time, so there's just not enough contests left, and unfortunately, I think all of the guys chasing categories are going to be at the last two contests of the year in Lee Summit potentially. So.
And the guys that are leading categories are pretty good cooks too, correct?
Yeah. And it goes down to the end. Like, you don't even know. I mean, last year Joe and I were, we went down to that contest in Virginia, and, Joe needed, top 3 or whatever to take over team of the year. But the categories, I mean, I went into the last weekend last year leading brisket, and I think I ended up 4th. Paul ended up taking it, and he didn't even know he did it. I think he won day 1 of brisket there. He had no idea he took brisket team of the year, but the barbecue bus was there, and they're always in it in brisket. And I think this year is going to be the same thing. Like, those categories, aren't going to be figured out until that last weekend. I mean, and there's a lot of teams that have a lot to play for in there, and whether it's for first or whether it's for, top 10s or whatever their goals are. But there can be a lot of movement here in these last 3 weeks, and there always is. Like I said, the last week last year, I mean, it completely shook up brisket. So there's a lot to play for, and it's pressure. And man, it's October. It's like baseball's got October, man. We've got October now in barbecue, and man, we're right in the thick of it.
Awesome. Aaron said technically 1 and a max second. And then Chris Schaefer says he needs 12 GCs to catch Joe.
12 GCs to catch Joe.
So taking 6 months to
do it. That would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool. So you two are winning y'all are 1 and 2 in the major points chase in competition barbecue, right? KCBS is the gold standard. I would say KCBS gold standard for points chasing in competition barbecue. What would you tell somebody getting into barbecue that's not quite at your level yet? Did y'all have goals like, hey, I want to go win my local? Like, I know Chris Schaefer came on early a couple years ago, and he had just won Kansas City, whatever what was it? The society, the sanctioning body that they're in over there in his local area.
Is there SLBS?
Yeah, that thing. Is there something that y'all would suggest to somebody to hey, go try and win your local points chase, or is there anything what would you recommend?
Bradley, you hit first.
Well, I mean, I think there's just and I think Joe can attest to this, because I think, he kind of got into the points chase last year and wasn't quite like, and Schaefer too, there was one point where Joe's in Wisconsin. I'm in another town in Wisconsin. There's a contest the next day in Columbia, and we're joking around about where we're at and everything. And Chris is like, well, we'd all know if we were all in Wisconsin, and Joe and I are in Wisconsin, different places. He didn't figure it out till Saturday. I mean, there's a certain thing, like, I think you've got to kind of butter yourself up and have like a year that you're kind of, like a gear up year, so to speak. And I remember Tim Grant, and this is back in my, I don't drink at all anymore. And so a lot of people that are into it now don't realize what just a tremendously fun drunk I was back in the days. But we used to go drinking with the team of the year winner every year. And, Tim Grant, I think it was 2013 from True Bud Barbecue. And we're sitting there at the banquet. We're hanging out in Nashville at the bar afterwards. And his first time he really said to me, he goes, what's your goal? And I was like, well, shit, I never really even thought about that. What is my goal? And then I just kind of answered off the cuff. I was like, well, it's to win Chicken Team of the Year. And sure enough, in 2015, I got that done. That was my kind of thing. I think just to ease into point chasing, it's probably best to focus on your best category. Go out there, get the feel for it, get the feel for what it takes, and then warm up, because it's really hard just to jump in cold, man. I mean, and then go out there, because it is, and I can't tell you, and Joe's got a bit of this, it is a tremendous, emotional and physical toll on you to point chase for KCBS. I mean, you're traveling, but it's just the mental part. Like, we had the Jack this past weekend. That's one day. That's one contest. It's high stress. It's high pressure, but it's on and it's over. I can tell you right now, Joe, how long have we been under pressure, man, against each other? We've been under pressure for months now, where you just can't, you're looking at the results. You're trying to figure out, you're trying to make the right moves. You're trying to do everything. And you've got a lot tied up into it. You got a lot financially tied up into it. You've got a lot, emotionally, you've got a lot of your goals and your dreams, whatever aspirations tied up into it. And it's just a high pressure thing. And I think it's easier to kind of wet your feet before you're ready to go for that, because it really is more than without doing it that you can understand that it takes to get it done.
Yeah, and I would say points chasing is it's hard to start the year saying I'm gonna chase KCBS Team of the Year. I'm gonna go out and win KCBS Team of the Year. It kind of falls into you as you're cooking. My goals are the same every year. It starts with pick a major, you know what I mean? I want to get to the Jack, or I want to be at the Royal, or whatever that is. And then I say, hey, you know, when I was first starting out, I was like, man, it'd be cool to be top 100 in a category or two, you know what I mean? And see my name on that list. And then as you get better, it's like, man, it'd be cool to be top 50 or top 25. You know, my goals now as somebody like next year, there's no way I'm cooking 30 or 40 contests. I'm probably in that, you know, 20 to 25 range, if that. And I can do that pretty easily around my Kansas City area, and not have to travel too far. But, you know, like I started this year, I said, okay, if I'm going to cook again, what's going to be my goal? I was so close last year. I said, let's just start out trying to be top 10 in every category and be very consistent, which is, I think, one of my strengths in competition barbecues. I've been very consistent for the last, you know, 6 years or so, and not necessarily putting up the wins like Brad does every year, but, you know, getting that 5 to 6 to 7 wins, you know, to put you in that hunt for, you know, top 10 team of the year categories. So, you know, for me, if I was telling somebody if they really wanted to do it, like I would agree with Brad completely. Pick a category and kind of go after it. And you know, this is an expensive hobby, especially when you're cooking as much as Brad and I are doing. I mean, I know neither one of us, Brad and I make fun of each other every week about how good or how bad our meat is. And we both say our meat's so thin and horrible, no barbling. And then when you actually look at them, they're probably better than 90% of the field out there, because we're just not taking bad meat to a contest. And, you know, having restaurants help with that. You know, when I didn't have a restaurant and I was cooking, you know, in 2013 and 2014, I mean, I was going to every Walmart in the Kansas City metropolitan area trying to find ribs and other grocery stores. So, you know, Brad's probably not doing as much as I do, but there's times when I'm taxing slaps with 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 extra cases of ribs or pork or something a week to try to find 3 or 4 good slabs. But, you know, that's not necessarily something you have to do to chase points, but it definitely helps. So
that's awesome. What is all right? So Brad, your winning percentage, I think you said is 30, 33%, 34, 35%, something like that. Joe, I'm sure your winning percentage is also high. You just said that you're not going to cook but 25 contests next year. If you go out in the first 5 contests, you win 3 of them, does that change your goals? I mean, same for you, Brad. Like, y'all, is that going to change your goal, or is that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think this year, you know, 18, I set out to win team of the year. And I mean, that was, you know, I even had t-shirts made up that said the year of the dragon on it, you know, and this year I stated, you know, I said I was going to win team of the year. Last year I didn't plan on it. It just COVID fell in there is the only reason. Like, I wouldn't have been anywhere near it if it weren't for COVID, to be honest with you. You know, we got that 3 or 4 month break and everything else. And then next year I won't be in there unless nobody goes after, which is always possible. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know who's going to chase, but I mean, I'd anticipate somebody's going to step up. There's always somebody there ready to step up. And even if I get 3 or 4 wins early, then I'm not chasing. I just don't know at this point what it gets me. You know what I mean? I'm going to cook what I want to cook. We'll teach a little bit more. I think I'm going to try to do a little more destination contests. I've got a couple planned in Europe that I'm going to go to. You know, definitely cooking, you know, Florida, California. Try to do some contests. You know, they had one in Alaska this year that I would have done, honestly, if it wasn't for the point chase. So I'm going to do a little bit more than that. Australia, again, I love cooking down there. So I'm really going to set up. It's not that I'm not going to cook. It's no fun. And one of the things like Joe was talking about, like cooking around the Kansas City area, cooking around home, man, it's, you know, to point chase, one of the things you have to do is you've got to sit there and put in the road time, because you've got to be willing. If the contest that you need is 12 or 13 hours away, or the guy that's chasing you is there, that's where you got to go. Or, you know, I love cooking Death's Door as an example. I couldn't go there. They didn't have enough teams. You know, Joe and I drove 14 hours the other way and went to Hill City, South Dakota. So it's just, I just want to cook what I want to cook next year. And I'm sure I'll still finish okay at the end of the year, but I'm not going to be actively points chasing next year at all. I'm just going to go cook contests I like and contests that my family want to go to, and everything else, and take it a little bit easier on myself.
You the same, Joe?
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, if I say I'm going to cook 20 or 25 and something magical happens and you go out there and win you go on a crazy run and you win 7 in the first 15 contests, I mean, that's a different story. But winning 2 or 3 early out of the first, you know, 5, you know, or out of the first 10 or 15, that's kind of is what it is. I mean, the number at the end of the year, any KCBS chase minus the 2020 COVID year is you got to win 10. You know what I mean? Brad's at that 10 mark. It'd be pretty magical for me to come back and get 3 more and catch them. But, so to say you're going to go out and cook 30 times or 40 times and win 10 of them, it's really, really tough. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm going to change the game plan until until the means say so. You know what I mean? If you're up there and you think you're able to do something, then probably go after it. But Brad and I've been in that boat 2 years in a row, and luckily enough, we're both in positions where we can, start prepping for a contest on a Tuesday and leave on a Thursday to get there in time, or Friday, depending on what it is. And we have the flexibilities in our schedule, but it's not a sacrifice. You know what I mean? There's things that I haven't done at the restaurant for 6 months that my brother I know is just not talking to me about because he wants me to win team of the year. But at the end of the day, there are things that could probably run a little smoother. And, it's hard leaving a 2-year-old at home every weekend. And she's at the point where she recognizes when I'm not there. And so, it's like Brad said, it's a grind. It's demanding. I don't think anybody really knows what it takes to jump into it. And it takes 1 year of figuring it out and then another year of actually going and doing it.
And let's make one commitment here, Joe, here today on this show, that we're going to go out, we're going to cook at the best of our ability every contest in Mississippi next year. For Wes. We're going to do it for Wes.
I think if there is –
I'm just kidding.
I'll say this, not even in a Mississippi contest, but anywhere politically incorrect is that, I think y'all should just go.
We'll just follow them around. Unless he goes to Georgia. Georgia's a no-go zone. You guys, I don't know what you guys eat down there, man, but we're not cooking it.
Man, I tell you what, I was blessed. I mean, I got to meet Joe in Georgia, and I was only able to cook one day, and I had to get a baseball tournament. But it was cool to be able to meet Joe and Brad. I've met you here, and I hate – he said he's canceled. And I hate it that, because I thoroughly enjoy seeing you guys and cooking with y'all and getting to see what the best of the best is all about, right? And I don't know what's George's problem, but whatever, it is what it is.
And I always say, you get that they don't have to like your food, right? I mean, it's not like it's good or bad or whatever. You just know, like, there's some places that don't like your food. That's okay. It's not anything, you know what I mean? I mean, it's subjective. We're in a subjective business, and your food doesn't have to score somewhere. You know what I mean? It's okay. Somebody else can win in that area. And man, I've got my no-go zones. I know Steve Hayden's famous for having this little map of the portion of Illinois where he sits there and he's got, I can go here, good scoring here, no-go. But I mean, everybody's got one of those, man. There's just certain contests that just don't, they just, for whatever reason, they don't do it for you. There's other contests that love you. So, I mean, why beat your head against the wall, man? If they don't like your food, it's all right. Go somewhere else.
So I know this answer, but I'm asking it anyway. Both of you would sit there and say you don't change the way you cook depending on where you go, correct? Or do you change?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Not based on where I'm at.
Right. I mean, you might change based off of 4 contests in a row, something not hitting or something like that. Right. Sure. But you're not going to change based off of coming to Georgia. You just won't come to Georgia, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Don't chase it.
And I mean, it's not even, I mean, we know, I mean, like Tim scored in Georgia before. I know the food that we cook can score in Georgia. Oh, yeah. It's just for whatever reason, it's just, it just doesn't happen for me. So why, why beat my head against the wall?
And it's so close for us to get down there too. I mean, the closest Georgia contest.
Well, and if it was, if Georgia,
yeah.
Well, I quit going to Oklahoma too, so.
Yeah. I like Oklahoma. Oklahoma works well for me.
I know you do.
So let me ask y'all a question, because there's been a lot of stuff going on. The two of y'all have your barbecue has been good for y'all, right? Do you have in the back of your mind, this is something I've wanted to ask because there's certain things going on, but do you feel like barbecue owes y'all something, or do y'all feel like you owe barbecue something? And does that make any sense? Like competition barbecue? I see a lot of times when I know Brad. I met Brad at a barbecue class, and I know where he stands. And I feel like barbecue has helped you get to where you've become. Not you haven't made barbecue this great thing, right? What do you think? Do you feel like you owe anything to barbecue for where you're at today, or is it just you're going to take advantage of what has been given to you? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, I'll start first. I kind of see what you're saying. The I don't think I owe anybody anything. I know what the effort that myself and my brother have put in, through the last 8 years, 9 years in competition barbecue, and then just the restaurant. So I don't think barbecue. I don't think I owe barbecue anything. I think cooks tend to um, be a little um, easy on what they'll do for people, and I think that's what's made getting sponsorships sometimes hard in competition barbecue. I think it's very easy for somebody to say, "Oh, I'd love a bag of charcoal. I'll do 10 videos a year for you, and I'll go cook your big company event for a little bit of free product." And there's a time in my life when I thought that was okay, but now that I know what my time's worth, I would say there's and what I bring to the table, there's got to be a little more than just product coming back there. But I think there's anything that probably snubs me just a little bit is sometimes I don't think what Brad and I have done, and especially Brad, over the last 5 years for Brad, I just don't think it goes as recognized as it probably should. I mean, I said it in a Facebook post yesterday, what the run Brad has been on in the last 5 years, if not a little longer, it's just not been done. You know what I mean? I mean, he's been consistently in the top 10. He's been winning contests when nobody else is winning contests, and he's winning categories. He's doing all this stuff, and I just think there's not as much reciprocation back for what we put into it, and that's not just from a sanctioning body, that's from barbecue in general and sponsorships and everything in between. And I'm so blessed to have Prairie Fresh as a sponsor, but they're one of our sponsors because they like me, and I spend a lot of money with them. You know what I mean, at the barbecue restaurant, and so it works well. And Brad's a Prairie Fresh team as well, and I know he spends a lot of money with Prairie Fresh. But I think the amount of time and effort that the top cooks have put in over the last 3 or 4 years or 5 years, just definitely goes a little unnoticed. That, hey, these are just guys out there cooking every weekend for fun. I mean, there was in the middle of the season this year, Brad was talking to me about quitting and saying, "It's just not fun for me anymore," and that's hard, to me, because we've been out there grinding for 300 contests. Brad at 320, I'm at 260 or 270 or something like that. I mean, it's just a grind, man. And when you feel like you're not getting anything back out of it besides a tin can trophy that says grand champion on it and $300 is hard to do week in and week out. But I don't think I owe anybody anything. I know how hard I've worked at stuff, and my gratification, my self-worth is wrapped up in other ways of knowing that I'm a pretty good person and I'm a pretty good guy. And if somebody asks me for something, I'm going to do the best I can to help them out. And I love serving people. I love being at the restaurant. So, I think that's kind of a long answer to a probably a simpler question than what you were asking.
No, I get it. Yeah. And I guess I should have said, "Oh." I don't think either one of them owe anything. But
anyway. I know what you meant. I didn't take it personally. No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, on my end, I don't feel like I owe anything or anybody owes me anything. I think, just like Joe said, it's just, you kind of go out there and you make your own success. I think that's the way in it's life, man. It's anything. You get into something, you get out of something what you put into anything. Although we do a lot to give back because, barbecue has been good to us, but a healthy barbecue and healthy competition barbecue kind of validates all of our hard work, So I want to see people get into competition. I want to see people have success that I've had. I want to see more people. I want to see this activity grow instead of shrink. And so we spend a lot of time putting that in there, but there's selfish reasons behind it because it just validates. Like, I mean, what does a jack win, right? If nobody's out cooking the jack anymore. So we want to see that the traditions carry on. I want to see the next, we want to see the next group of guys, who's up after Joe and I and Tim and Travis and these and Darren and some of these greats go away. Who's the next round of people that are going to come up and step up and carry on? And I'm really, and you know what I owe and what I'm going to give back is into that is get this next group, you know, who's next up and who's going to carry competition barbecue forward, because I really do love it. You know, I don't think I owe it anything, but I mean, I really do love it. And I want to see, you know, KCBS, and I want to see, you know, competition barbecue thrive. And so that's why I put a lot of time in and effort in, just to see, get a return on that and see that go to the next level. And I'm excited to see that, you know, and you know, it's time kind of for somebody else to take the torch of comp barbecue and move it forward. And I'm here to help whoever that is and make sure that we leave it in a good place. You know, it's in a great place when we started. You know, hopefully we can help put it in a good place when we're going out of it.
Well, what I appreciate as a guy in the barbecue world that I don't have any influence, right? Like you two guys, what y'all are doing for barbecue is huge. Brad, what you and Tim are doing with the barbecue league, like that is something that's huge, right? Like that is something that is making barbecue bigger, right? I mean, people will throw stones at everything and everybody, right? Like, but what you're trying to do is make barbecue better. At the end of the, like, and my point to this whole thing is the two of you are on top of you're on top of the competition barbecue, right? And you're still trying to give back, right? You're not just sitting back saying, what are y'all going to give me? What are you doing for me? Right? You're still giving back and you're still trying to make barbecue the best possible it can be. And that's the thing that I appreciate as a guy in the barbecue world, what y'all are doing, because that goes, maybe it doesn't, but I feel like it goes unappreciative sometime of the time and effort that y'all put in this to make competition barbecue as good as it is. Like, and my goal for this show is I want everybody in the world to know that there is an incredible competition going on between two of the best cookers in the world, week in, week out, going at it, battling each other, trying to see who the best competition barbecue guy is. And that's something that y'all are doing. And I want to do everything I can to put a light on it, because you're putting a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. And I hope as many people watch this next 3 weeks, I hope everybody's looking at the KCBS results and seeing where everybody finished, or watching the videos or whatever, and give you guys the credit that y'all deserve for the time and effort that you're putting into barbecue, because there's go ahead.
I was gonna say, one of the things, I mean, you know, that really this past weekend meant the most to me, and I always look back on it, and you know, when I get beat, you know, at a contest, you know, I make it a point to go up to whoever, you know, whoever wins the contest, shake their hand. If I can't get up there, I'll try to leave them a message on Facebook, whatever it is, because you just never know who you're going to touch. I mean, I can just tell you, just this last weekend, you know, the fact when I'm walking up front and two of the people that like genuinely were almost in tears, happy for me, were two of the guys that I got into barbecue for, which is Johnny Trigg. Is like, you know, I almost had to push him out of the way to get up to the stage, because Johnny was just standing there. You don't want to hug. And it's just so humbling that you know, Johnny, and he'll never know how much that meant to me. You know what I mean? Right. But it's just so cool that he took the time out, you know, to come up there. And then Tuffy, and Tuffy with both Joe and I, man, you know, he was in every one of our pictures because he was so legitimately like genuinely happy for Joe and I. And it's just like, I don't think Tuffy know what that means to us. And so I always try to keep that in mind when, you know, somebody wins or somebody comes up and talks to you at a contest or whatever. You might be having that kind of impact on somebody else. And hopefully, you know, and I know Joe feels the same way. Hopefully we are, you know, we're able to touch somebody or be able to help somebody or be able to catapult somebody to that next level and accomplish some of their goals and some of their dreams. And I just think that's important. I think it's just being a good person. You know, it's just giving back, you know, as far as that goes, you know, giving back and putting back into the sport. I think that is important.
Absolutely. And I'm the first one to, and Brad is as well. I mean, as much as we help each other when we're struggling, you know, Brad won a world championship in pork and then went on a terrible pork run. And he was like, all right, what sauce am I using? You know what I mean? What do I need to be doing? And I did the same thing in chicken.
Sold to the devil.
Yeah, right. And you know, I was talking. A guy texted me an hour before the show and said, "Hey, I'm struggling in ribs. What I do?" I'm the first person to give you everything I do. I mean, as much as I would love those guys to take a class, I think the relationship that I have with them is going to go way further and going to be more impactful if I just help them in one category at their next contest, rather than making them spend $600 and come during a class in February in the middle of the cold that they're not even going to practice for 3 or 4 months later. You know what I mean? So, man, I love seeing people succeed. I love seeing this sport grow and you know, like Brad was saying, Tuffy blew me away he was pulling his whole truck and trailer in at the Royal, and he stopped and he got out of his truck and he came up and he said, what you and Brad have been doing this last couple of years is insane. I said, why are you even following this, Tuffy? You haven't been serious in competition barbecue for several years. Like, why are you following it? He's like, oh man, I love it. And he was like, what you guys are doing is just incredible. And he was like, I can't wait to see what happens. And this is a fun race to watch. And he said that again this week at the Jack. And you know, to see somebody like Tuffy, who's literally won everything that there is to win in barbecue, say, man, I love watching what you guys are doing. I mean, that's what you know keeps us going. And I think more people probably feel that way that Tuffy does than Brad and I get a little monotonous out here. It gets a little mundane going out every week and cooking barbecue, and sometimes we miss that. And when you have weekends like we did at the Jack, when everybody's coming up to you, said like, hey, I can't believe it played out like this, and you guys have been working harder than everybody else, and it finally paid off. And it's just really cool, man. And you know, I'm just glad to be a part of barbecue. And I say this all the time. This is an honest statement. I am glad that I'm being able to be a part of barbecue when somebody like Brad Leininger is cooking barbecue, because he is literally setting the bar higher than anybody set it. And you know, it's my job and the other guy's job to come up and try to match it and not be better. And that's what I've been trying to do. And it's not, I'm so close. Where's the camera? I'm so close. You know, maybe one day I'll be there, but it's definitely been a blast over these last couple of years and 3 years with chasing them. So.
And starting the show, opening the show, talking about, I mean, that's I mean, somebody mentioned, you know, Tom Brady equals Brad, right? Like Brad's I have a level, right? Like, I mean, Brad's not Tom Brady.
I'm like Trent Dilfer. That's Dan Marino.
You know, I mean, and that's kind of where I opened up to me, what Brad has done is like, putting barbecue on his shoulders and carrying it, right? And that I know you're not going to take credit for it, but you have, and it's just really cool.
I'm glad my wife's not in here, man. She'd probably be sitting there trying to poke my head with a pen or something right now, you know. Oh God!
But one of the cool things that happened to me this weekend at Lyons, Georgia. I mean, I know somebody talked about the young guys become the old guys, right? Like, what's happened is and they're all learning and they're all listening, they're all trying to get better, right? Like everything y'all are doing, you don't even know the impact y'all have. And I'll use the barbecue league. They were talking about the barbecue league, and the guy goes, you know, the episode that I watched more than anything, that has helped me more than anybody, was Joe's video, right? And then you just sit back and you're like, these guys don't even know how big of an impact they have on barbecue. And I mean, maybe you do know, but I think that y'all are impacting barbecue across the country, or probably across the world right now at this point in time, the way barbecue is growing. And I do appreciate what y'all are doing, because I think it's easy for y'all to get caught up in the points chase. It's easy for y'all to be like, oh, you're so focused on what you're doing. You don't necessarily see how big it is to people like us. So
you should tell Brad, you should tell him why I did that video. It's because you wanted the cameras in my trailer to throw me off my game.
I did it this past weekend. So we had the cameras rolling, you know, at Shake and Bake's trailer this weekend, because we were trying to decide who was going to go. You know, all three of us are right there next to each other. We were going to try to do a little bit of stuff, all of us, and we're like, man, it's probably going to be a better video if we focus on one. So I just played to Tim's ego. I said, well, Tim, you know, you probably out of the three of us got the best chance of winning. We better put the cameras in there. And of course, Tim's not going to step back and say, no, it's probably one of you guys. Yeah, I probably do have the best chance of winning. So we put the camera over there, and he's got it going. I can tell you the first time that one of my favorite stories this year, when you're sitting there going, holy crap, man, we are making an impact. As we were sitting in Alamosa, Colorado, and I'm sitting there with you know, Barefoot Reagan and David Qualls, and we're talking about barbecue, and Johnny Trigg sitting there with us. And a guy came up into our camp and said, you know, hey, pardon me, you know, I don't want to interrupt your conversation, but I just really want to get a picture with you. And I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, Johnny, you know, take a picture. And he's looking over at me, and I'm like, holy shit, why is he looking at me instead of Johnny? And that's when I started giving Johnny a hard time. You know, I call him an old man. I say, hey, your time's gone, Johnny. I'm sorry, man. But that's the first time I was just really tickled. I'm just sitting there going, Man, I just it's just one of those things that I got into this because of Johnny, and then that happens, and that you really realize that how far the reach is of the barbecue league, and I'm sure Joe's getting that too, where we always got some people coming up, but since we got going with the barbecue league, you've got a few more people that come up and want to talk to you and talk barbecue and do everything, so it's pretty cool, man. I mean, it's just. All we were trying to do is build it up and get brands out there, get people interested, get people started in barbecue, and it's really kind of taken on a life of its own. So it really has been super successful in that area. So
I think it's awesome.
The learning curve is just so much different than when Brad and I started barbecue. You know what I mean? Like we were on the Barbecue Brethren. Trolling people, you know what I mean?
I remember the brother. I remember that.
I've been kicked off more barbecue threads than I probably would have cared.
I'd never troll anybody on that side. Come on, now.
I'm pretty sure you still do. I think it's a fun pastime.
That's what you realize too. It's like I used to troll everybody, and then you're like, God, I can't really do that anymore, man. Now, everybody knows who I am. Back in the day, you could get on there and troll, and you'd be fine.
Right.
So
I think my biggest tool when I was first started getting into barbecue was the virtualweberbullet.com. You know what I mean? That guy put so much content out there about how to cook on a bullet and a Weber. I mean, that was my go-to on how to cook ribs and brisket and pork and turkey and sausage and chicken and that stuff was there. And so now we have technology going so far, and you have stuff like the Barbecue League is putting out and all this content that's just creating such a easier curve to come into competition barbecue and be successful. I mean, it took me. I started in 2013, and I think it took me 2 years to win a contest. You know what I mean? And I was putting a lot of time and money into it, and then it kind of skyrocketed from there. But it's really cool to see people jump in and be successful right off the bat.
Well, Malcolm's the first guy that got it, and hats off to him and all the success and followers he's got. He's the first guy that realized that, man, there's no money to be made, keeping your trailer door shut, right? The money's to be made showing everybody what you do. And he's the first guy that really got out there, got that stuff online and had an impact. And now, everybody, nobody knows who Joe and I are out in the regular world. Everybody knows who Malcolm is, and he's earned every penny of it and every bit of it. So, but I always tell people, and I had a couple people come up to me this weekend and they try to thank you and hey, man, the barbecue league and this and that. And that's great. The stuff's out there, like Joe said. But ultimately, like, you've got to cook it. And so we can only take you so far. We could take you up. We could take you 75% of the way. And I always tell people, say, hey, man, that's not me. That's you. You know what I mean? I didn't cook it. Yeah, man, we put you on the path, but you got to go execute. And there's a lot of people. I mean, there are thousands of people that have my recipes. But you're the one that pulled it off today, and you're the one that cooked it the best. Yeah. So I always appreciate it when people come up and express appreciation for the barbecue league or for our classes or whatever. But ultimately, man, it's not me. You went out there and you did it, and you deserve all the credit. It's 100% your accomplishment. So that that's an important thing to realize too about this, because there's a lot of people that have taken your class, my class, Joe, whatever, that still don't get calls, and you still got to go out and cook, and you still got to put the time in.
Some of the best comments on here are Wes Garrett said Tuffy stopped his trailer and told him to move his damn trailer. Chris Schaefer said Tuffy stopped
didn't Wes run into Myron Mixon? I thought I saw you backed into Myron or something like that over there. It looked like there was a scratch on Myron's trailer.
Probably with Wes. I mean, and then I'm sure he went out there and cleaned up his own trailer. But the best is Chris Schaefer said Tuffy stopped his truck and said, "Oh wait, you're not Joe." That's awesome. But anyway, guys, I know I've kept you longer than y'all need to be on here, but I sincerely thank y'all for the exciting year and a half that's been going on, or 2 years in barbecue, what y'all have done. And I literally, I can't wait to watch this whole thing play out. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Joe, work your butt off, right? You got a lot to do to keep up, but
well, it's funny. We get back from the Jack, and I spent the morning calling contests, trying to find out who has teams, and I spent the afternoon looking for meat. So, there's no time off. I drove between 9.5 and 10.5 hours on Sunday. Got home, watched the Chiefs just get destroyed on Sunday Night Football. And then Monday it's right back at the grind and trying to find meat and working for the next weekend. So as much as the RGC was fun and the GC was for Brad, I mean, we're head down and we're gonna go cook our tails off and probably Sugar Creek this week. So
That's awesome. Brad, were you going to say? It looked like you were about to say something.
By the way, I threw a
No,
Sugar Creek in there just to
I
mess
heard
with
that.
Brad
I just
just a
thought
little
maybe
bit.
we can get here on the on record that you're going to Sugar Creek, so that way I can quit worrying about it. Figure out where we're going. We're either going to be we're either going to be over by Wichita, Topeka, Sugar Creek, or Maryland this weekend. It's just it's hard to say. So
I will not.
We're going to be one of those spots. It's Monday. You never know. You never know. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's and the only thing that keeps me going right now is knowing I only have 3 more weeks. So either way it comes out, man, it's been a hell of a ride, and win or lose, man. I mean, it's been a lot of fun the last 2 years cooking against Joe.
Yeah,
and I'll miss it. I don't miss it right now. It might take me a couple months, but at some point I'll miss Joe and I's back and forth battle, and I think Joe said it best. We've had so many. We know if anybody needs to know what the best small town Mexican food is, Joe and I have the answer for you. So that's like our Friday night thing. We hit that coast to coast. So we ought to be writing a blog on that.
We both agree that right now it's Dodge City, Kansas.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man. I had a seafood soup in Dodge City, Kansas, of all things. That was probably the best thing we've eaten on the deal. And you look at Joe, I mean, you can tell we don't eat a lot, but we do, we're picky eaters.
Right. So. Me too. Well, that's awesome. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. If you have it, where can people get in touch with you if anybody needs to get in touch with you? Facebook, Instagram, do you have any of that kind of stuff y'all push or?
For Slaps, it's reach out on Facebook at Slaps Barbecue, Instagram at Slaps Barbecue, and we pretty responsive there. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you can always shoot me a message, and I'm pretty open, and I get back to that stuff pretty quick. So
ask him where he's going this weekend.
Hey Joe, where are you going to cooking this weekend?
Right now, I'm cooking Sugar Creek, Missouri.
Right now.
It's honestly the closest contest to my house that I've had all year. It's 20 minutes from my house, and Brad's going to make me drive to Maryland. That's what's happening right now.
No. We're going to Sugar Creek. I'm in Sugar. If you're there, I'm there. I'll tell you that.
All
wherever you're at. So I'm at. So,
y'all did say at the beginning of this, you did say y'all made a pact that y'all would tell each other and go, right? So, hey, just saying. But Maryland's a double, right, Brad? Did you say Maryland was
for a minute? I was kind of breaking up.
Did you say Maryland is a double?
No, it's not. No, there's a double next weekend in New Jersey, I believe it's a double. There's a double in Galax, Virginia this week, so you could technically cook 6, but I think they've only got like 15 or 16 teams, so it's really not doesn't do us any good. But I think technically we could probably get 6 in, but good Lord, let's don't.
I'm pretty sure before I thought about it, Brad said he was going to cook Maryland on Saturday, then drive to Galax on Sunday, cook the double.
We'll see.
You never know.
It's on the way. Surely it's on the way home, right? Virginia on the way home.
He's 3 wins ahead, folks. This is what the guy does.
It's all East.
You wonder why he's better than everybody else is because he thinks of the things that nobody else thinks of, like going to Maryland, the Galax, and coming home. I've been to Galax. It's not that great. So.
I in my younger life, Joe, I had lost because I didn't work hard enough. And I don't ever want to have that happen to me again. So that's one excuse I don't ever want to make is that I didn't work hard enough.
Yep, no, I'm with you right there. Absolutely.
2 of the hardest working guys in barbecue. Great guys. Thank you so much for coming on Chewin the BBQ Fat here. Look forward to seeing everybody next week. And guys, I can't wait to see it. Hopefully I can get you all to come back on at the end of the season and we can finish and have this discussion again. So
anytime.
y'all have one night.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you guys.